Let's talk about the mindset of a successful blogger. What does that look like, and how can you set yourself up for success by getting yourself in the right mindset? One of the most important pieces of advice I can offer you if you plan on starting a blog, or really any new endeavor, is to know your why. So what does that mean? Think about the overarching vision you have for your life and for your career, and determine how this project fits into that vision. What's your end game? Why do you want to embark on this journey? For example, maybe you're really passionate about a topic and you want to share that passion with an audience. Or maybe you want to start a business that allows you to live with a little more freedom and flexibility. Maybe you're not happy with the current media landscape in your industry and you want to shake things up and change it a little bit, make it better. Or hey, maybe you just want to earn more money. And that is a perfectly legitimate motivation if that's something that truly drives you. Whatever your motivation is, keep it in mind to keep you moving forward at all times, even when things get difficult. You can compound that internal motivation with a healthy dose of discipline, which I'd argue is even more important than motivation. Commit to working on your blog and making tangible progress toward your goals every single day, even when you don't feel particularly motivated. This commitment, this habitual progress, is truly what separates world-class performers from the rest. Stephen King famously said, "Amateurs sit and wait for inspiration. The rest of us just get up and go to work." If you're just getting started, all this mindset stuff probably sounds a little off topic, a little tangential. But the fact is, most blogs fizzle out long before they've had a chance to prosper. The odds are fundamentally stacked against you. But when you're working with the right mindset, when your heart's in the right spot, when your head's in the right spot, it's much easier to make everything else fall into place. No blogger has ever failed mid-keystroke. Let me say that again. No blogger has ever failed mid-keystroke. Failure comes when you stop working. Your blog may not have as much traffic as you want, or as much influence as you want, or as much revenue as you want. But those things can always be improved. That's part of the process. You only fail if you give up and quit. So if you can start with a strong internal motivation and then follow through with some actual discipline and habit in your execution, you will be absolutely unstoppable. While we're on the topic of mindset, I should mention that if money is one of your motivations, your blog is going to be a business, and it deserves to be treated like one. With any new business, there are going to be ups and downs, plenty of setbacks, plenty of challenges, and it's going to take a good deal of time and effort to grow. So make sure you understand that and make sure you're prepared. When you start a blog, what you're really doing is building a media company, and a media company needs a business model. In most cases, your blog is not the product. What you're actually selling, what you're charging money for, is some other product or service such as ad space or consulting services, a book or a course, or a physical product of some kind. From this perspective, a blog is just like any other business. You're selling something of value for money. So it's helpful to think of your revenue model not as monetizing your blog, but as providing a valuable product or service that improves the lives of your customers or clients. Now that's a subtle distinction, but it makes all the difference in growing your business because it shifts your focus from lining your own pockets to providing something people are actually willing to pay for. We'll discuss specific business models in more detail later in the course. The last mindset thing I want to cover is for those of you who don't consider yourselves good writers. This is a mental block that I think keeps a lot of people from even getting started. Look, maybe you're not the best writer. Maybe you suck. But guess what? So did every other writer when they first started. The only way to get better at anything is to consistently practice and work on mastering your craft. Ask any well-known blogger, and they'll probably tell you they're embarrassed by their earliest blog posts. In a few years, you will be too, and that's okay. Again, the best way to improve your writing is to write, but I also recommend reading content that's written in the style you'd like to emulate. If you want a short reference guide on the mechanics of writing, grab a copy of The Elements of Style by William Strunk Jr. and E.B. White. I'm also a fan of On Writing by Stephen King. Often when people want to start a blog, they start doing all kinds of research on web hosting and content management systems and themes and plugins and all of the technology without taking time to think about a content strategy. Don't worry, we will cover all of that stuff, but technology is just a tool. It's not the destination. Your number one concern when you start a blog should be your content, because that's what people want from you. Nobody's going to read your blog just because you have a cool WordPress theme. Design is important, yes, but your content has to come first. The first part of developing a content strategy is this: choose a topic or don't. Let me explain. I recommend focusing on a specific topic because you can position yourself as an expert and grow a lot more quickly than if you were just trying to be everything for everyone. When you choose a topic, you'll want to find something that's just specific enough for you to carve out an audience for yourself, but broad enough that an audience actually exists. In my case, I chose to write about technology with a focus on new startups and innovation. I actually could have gone more specific and covered just VR startups or clean energy startups or iPhone apps or something like that. When you're more specific, you can scale your audience and grow your influence and begin to generate revenue much more quickly. If you don't want to commit to a single topic, you can get similar results by committing to a particular worldview instead. So instead of focusing on just one topic, you can focus on a number of topics that matter to people who share a similar mindset or worldview. So as an example, Maria Popova writes an excellent blog called Brain Pickings. So what she does is she reads books, lots and lots of books, and on her blog she shares insights and things she's learned from reading those books, often drawing parallels between different authors and different time periods. The topic of each post is completely different from any other post, but she fundamentally appeals to curious, creative people who tend to be lifelong learners. Another example is Chris Guillebeau, who writes a blog called The Art of Nonconformity. He writes about entrepreneurship, travel, and unconventional living, three things that sound unrelated but appeal to people with a particular worldview, one that rejects conventional expectations and favors the road less traveled. So it's up to you. Choose a topic, choose a worldview, or choose nothing at all, but understand that a more specific focus will allow you to grow more quickly. Once you've got a topic in mind, it's time to think about the types of content you'll be creating and what people will gain from it. Most content serves one of four main purposes: entertainment, education, persuasion, or conversion. Entertainment is obviously meant to entertain people. Educational content explains or teaches the reader something. Persuasive content makes arguments for a particular position or viewpoint, and conversion entices people to buy or take some other action. You can apply those purposes to various content formats like lists, how-to guides, news articles, reviews, thought and opinion pieces, interviews, case studies, and so on and so forth. Later in the course, we'll dive deeper into content strategy, and I'll give you a whole bunch of specific content ideas, but I just wanted to get you thinking about it right off the bat because your content strategy is a lot more important than what WordPress theme you use. Ultimately, the most important question to answer is this: how and to whom will you provide value? Who is your audience and what will your content do to improve their lives? Let's talk for a moment about branding. The first question many people have is whether you should use your own name or create a separate brand for your blog. That really depends on your preferences. Your personal name is more open-ended and can evolve with you, but a separate brand is better suited for building a sellable asset. If you think there's a chance you'll ever part with your blog, it's probably best to create a separate brand so it's less dependent on you as an individual. Naming is hard, and it's probably my least favorite part of starting a new project. Spend some time thinking of a good name and brainstorm ideas with other people if you can. Try and come up with something you're happy with because you're going to be stuck with it for a while, but understand that the name really doesn't matter all that much. For example, what was a Twitter before Twitter? What was a Google before Google? It's up to you to create meaning around your brand. As you're brainstorming ideas, you'll want to check to see whether your favorites are available as domain names. Domainer.com is a great tool for this. It's DOMAINR.com. It'll show you exactly which domains are available for the name you enter, along with some creative variations. I recommend going with a .com domain if possible, just because people still tend to trust it the most, but I'll also say that the extension matters less today than ever before. Again, it's up to you to build a meaningful and recognizable brand. Once you've decided on a name, you'll probably want a logo to represent your brand visually. I design most of my logos myself in Photoshop or Illustrator. I'm not a graphic designer, but I can handle simple text-based logos. But I've also had great results working with 99 Designs, where for a couple $100 you can hold a design contest and have dozens of designers compete to create a winning logo for you. You can also use services like Upwork and Fiverr for design, but you have to watch out for low quality designs and trademark infringement on those platforms. 99 Designs guarantees all of its designs to be unique and trademarkable with the US Patent Office, so to me that's worth the extra money. But again, you can always create something yourself with Photoshop or Illustrator or even a free program like GIMP.